Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I want to tell you a story about something that happened probably about 1969, 1970. I was in a go-kart accident. As a matter of fact, I got dragged behind a go-kart. And I think I've told this story before, but going a little bit different way with it. And I ended up having to get probably about 15, 20 stitches on my knee. It was up on Ogden Avenue. The doctor's name was Dr. Henge, and he was kind of a alternative guy because he was from Europe. And he gave me this tube, this ointment. And he said, put this on there, it'll help it heal. And I did. I was a little boy, but I put that on and I saw that it really helped it to heal. And over the years, I found a lot of uses for this magical elixir. It was a prescription, and it had it was a metal tube. Do you remember those metal tubes, like the toothpaste? If you remember metal tubes, you're old, because they just don't do those like they used to. Well, I hung on to this thing for a long time, and some of the paint was starting to chip off. And I used it very sparingly because, I couldn't go back to Dr. Henge and get the magical elixir tube, that I'd gotten the first time. And how long did I have it? Well, good question. I think it was 1996 that I was on a mission trip in Haiti. So that would be 36 years later. And in my travel kit, I had what was left of this ointment. I'd had it for 36 years. I had moved 4 times, at least 4 times. It had probably gone to many foreign countries with me. I liked to have it. It was great for burns, for scrapes, for anything. And it just made things heal. It was like magical. And you could never replace it, so I kept it. So I'm there in Haiti, and my friend Todd, who's a doctor, he sees this tube. There's just not much left in it. And he's like, what's that? And I explain it to him, and then Joe was right there. And I remember Joe's comment, and I told him, I said, I've had this since 1970. And Joe's comment was, he just said, there's no way my wife would let me keep that. Because, the paint was chipping off the whole thing. This thing was really old. It's just one of the few benefits of being single. You can keep weird things like that, and they can move around with you. You don't have to throw them out. But then Todd informed me, he goes, well, that's vitamin A and D ointment. You can get that at Jewel or Osco or Walgreens. I'm like, no way. I got this from Dr. Henge. He was right. I got a tube of it right here. So I finished that tube off quickly. And now I've had this stuff for, since 1997, I've been using it quite generously. I didn't realize, because I got it as a prescription in 1970, I didn't realize that it was available all the time. I tell you that story to say this. Sometimes we think God's grace and His love and His mercy, that it's not really available. There's just a little bit. You better save it. You better savor it, because it's precious. Oh, it is precious. But it's just like this. You can get all that you want. Now, Heidi makes fun of me because it's also good for diaper rash. I don't know about that, but it's really good for just about everything. A couple verses come to mind. In John's Gospel, chapter 1, speaking about Jesus, it says the Word became flesh. That's Jesus, the incarnate Word of God, becomes a human being, made His dwelling among us. We have seen His glory, the glory of the one and only, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. Jesus came full of grace and truth. Grace is what? Grace isn't just a place where we can just, I can be forgiven no matter what. No, grace is empowerment. Grace says God's always going to love me, unmerited favor, and it does something that changes me from the inside out. It gives me the want to. And do you know what? You can get as much of that as you want. You don't even have to pay for it. The vitamin A and D ointment, you have to pay for that. The grace of God, Jesus already paid for that. But it also came with truth. God's going to tell you the truth. He's not going to lie to you about your condition. He's going to be straight with you. How many people aren't? How many times do you want someone, come on, just give me your honest opinion. No, that was great. When you know it wasn't great. God will be straight with you. He goes on to say this in verse 16. From the fullness of His grace, we have all received one blessing after another. He gives it without measure. There's no measure to the grace that He wants to give you. Don't be like me when there was an endless supply of vitamin A and D ointment out there. I was thinking that I had the last little bit of it in the world. God has enough grace and truth for everybody. Get yours today. God bless you.